I think it was a tremendous operation, 100% executed by those involved, and I congratulate all of them for a job well done. Again, another example that if we work together and respect each other's capability, that we can get things done. This was an operation. The prison directors, supported by the DAE counterparts for the preparation and transportation, the police, the local police, supported by their counterparts. I also, for this, would like to thank the Solicitor General, because I remember right after the hurricane, as a matter of fact, it was the day that the King visited, and when we were in Cahill, I mentioned my concern about the situation with the inmates at Point Blanche, and that I would really like to see if we can get some of them moved. And he promised at that time that he would do everything in his power to assist with that effort, and he did. So, Mr. Boss, thanks for your assistance. The inmates, the idea is that they will be abroad for a period of 6 months. We still have a number of inmates remaining at the Point Blanche facility. The facility, like I said, the immediate necessary repairs have been made, so there's no risk where that is concerned for the inmates that are now there and the workers. Naturally, in the criteria selecting who would go and who would stay, we look at the period that they had to serve still as a main factor in determining that. So someone that was scheduled to be released, let's say this month or next month, naturally would not have been sent away. It would be those who would still have longer periods to serve. We are continuing with the final assessments and making up the plan of approach for the Point Blanche facility. I am convinced that the only solution for that facility is to have it replaced by a new facility. But we are still waiting on a report from a structural engineer, also provided by the DAE. And we would see then what that conclusion would be. But I believe that the cost in repairing that and bringing it to a level where it would meet international standards would be so high that it would not make sense to invest in it that way. We might as well go over to a new facility. We also fixed up the facility in Simpson Bay, and the facility in Simpson Bay is ready to be taken into use. Again, this was not done for capacity reason, because if that was the case, we moved out 60 people, we would have 60 places in Point Blanche. But we moved the inmates from Point Blanche for security reason, and it would not make sense to go full back up Point Blanche with folks. So the facility in Simpson Bay would be used for inmates with different violations. The system is different than in Point Blanche. Everything has been repaired to it. It is ready to be used. We are now doing the final arrangements with the staffing. One of the issues, staffing has been an issue all of the time at the prison facility. I can say that that situation has been, even now after the hurricane, we indicated that the last 2 persons, I think that were still out would be returning this week. So we will not have people out as was the case on long sick leave, etc. Because of that, we also managed to bring back the working hours. Those folks were working 12 hours a day, basically, to have enough people to cover the shift. And from mid-October, I think, yeah, from mid-October, we started experimenting, and the 1st of November, full officially, that everybody was working 8 hours. So we were back in a normal rotation as far as staffing is concerned. Now we have to make sure that in opening the Simpson Bay facility that we do not go back and disrupt that situation. We have 14 officers from the DAE who would be coming to assist us with that. And mostly those officers, especially at the Point Blanche facility and the Simpson Bay facility, would be covering or guarding the outside perimeters of the facility, so that we do not have to use our capacity for that. And hopefully we would be able to have enough people to do so. We were expecting to get some prison guards from Curacao, but due to the fact that we move a great deal of our inmates down there, they would not be in a position to loan us some prison wardens, but we are still looking and talking with the Netherlands if we can get some additional people to help us. Our Point Blanche crew, even though we managed to bring back the hours to 8 hours, these folks have been working since the hurricane. And a lot of that is the case with a lot of our law enforcement officers. They have been working a long time without getting some rest, some regular rest, or additional time off to catch up a breath. So everything is being done to make sure that we help manage this situation. Another one of our facilities that got damaged was the Miss Lally Center. That is the detention center for minors. Luckily, at that time, there were no youngsters in the center. In the meantime, we have made the necessary repairs to that facility, and together with management at that facility, we are working out a plan of approach. So when we reopen that, we would have everything in place to be able to do the job the right way. As far as the police are concerned, the police started with their control some time ago, and I get a lot of questions asking when is the police going to start controlling, for instance, the damaged vehicles, because there are a lot of vehicles on the road that are in very deplorable conditions. Unfortunately, my meeting that I have scheduled with the chief of police is this afternoon, so this press briefing is before, but that would be a point of discussion to get an idea how we're going to approach that problem. I remember in the last press briefing, I indicated, you know, it was like almost 80% of your cars on the island were damaged, and if you were to pull all of them off the road, that again too would not have been a desirable situation. But I understand for those who are saying that, yes, you know, we see some situations with windshields, etc., that's also not so safe. So I point taken, and I'm sure that the police also has that notice. It's just for us now to say when it would start and to notify the public in time that would be the case. Then, just briefly, I would like to touch the issue of the border control, as was mentioned in one of the conditions for recovery funds from the Netherlands. The condition required a onderlinge regeling, a joint agreement, and in a joint agreement, the parties involved get together, discuss things, and reach an agreement. You cannot have onderlinge regeling based on Article 38, Chapter 1 of the statute, in which conditions are imposed on the other party and the other party just have to accept. That part, I think, had been discussed from the beginning and was understood. And the issue was we only had a letter of the 13th of October in which the two conditions were mentioned very broad. And at that particular time, not knowing what the details, it was basically saying agree to conditions that will be put in an agreement that you are not aware of. And that is like writing a blank check, okay? So that was discussed, and a draft of that regulation was sent to me. I received that, if I'm not mistaken, Friday the 27th of October. It was brought to me late afternoon, and immediately Saturday I started looking through it, perusing it. On Sunday, I met with the Chief of Police, Chief John, and the Chief of the Customs, Mr. Doran. We sat and we went through the documents, and we listed some comments to those documents that were first discussed and passed on to the Council of Ministers in the meeting of Tuesday, the 31st of October. 31st of October, during that meeting, after briefing the Council of Ministers, and I recall very good because I chaired that meeting, and I interrupted the meeting to call the representative of the Netherlands, Mr. Arkenbout, to inform him what those considerations were, and he took note of it. We agreed how we would proceed as far as the decision-making in the Council of Ministers would take place. That was done. That decision was taken, as was discussed with Mr. Arkenbout and agreed on mutually. And so that was the 31st of October. I just, while looking at my phone, saw that a mail came in with the reaction to my concerns. Today, the 8th, okay? So why am I saying this? Because I think sometimes the wrong impression is given with all the hype in the media and everybody talking and saying all different things. Onderlinge regeling, like I said, is something that you sit down and you discuss, and you agree to something. A letter of the 13th of October, which I show you all have, says, agree to that. And the draft, the contents of the regeling that we're supposed to agree to was not known. I never saw it. So how reasonable would it be to expect me to agree to something that I never saw? That still has to be discussed. Once I had the regeling, but in the meantime, discussions were taking place because I sat on different occasions and by phone with Mr. Arkenbout and Mr. Chris Johnson, and we had discussions. So the impression and I'm not interested in who's creating the impression, but the impression that St. Martin has not been cooperating or not wanting to do something as far as this is concerned is absolutely not correct. So now that we have the regulation and the response, then I will look at the response. It seemed that the points that were brought forward to a great deal was taken into consideration. the concerns that were mentioned was taken into consideration, and if that is the case, there should not be any problem in entering that onderlinge Like I said, the ministry have different onderlinge some between two countries, some between all four countries. Because one of the issues that I said needed to be mentioned in this onderlinge there should be a reference to this, to the signed protocol that we have existing. And we cannot just do as if that protocol does not exist, or that. And that is one of the points that I think, from a quick scan, was looked at and was taken into consideration. So all with all, that is the information that we have. In the meantime, I don't know how long more, if I would be afforded another press briefing to brief you on events, but we will continue to do what our job is, and there are some developments still that at this time I cannot really disclose within the ministry, but I can say that the Ministry of Justice has moved forward tremendously, that the cooperation with all of the parties in the kingdom has been superb on the operational level, and I only wish that on the executive level that we will take example of how on the operational level we can work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Sorry, I forgot something, and my colleague looked up, and I remember I told myself, when you take the floor, you have to start with the following, and I want to congratulate my colleague, Minister Jacobs. I read in the newspaper today that she has accepted the challenge to take on the leadership of the National Alliance Party. Big challenge. So I want to congratulate her with that.
This morning, I would like to, first of all, say thank you. Thank you, Minister, for your kind words, and move on with the order of the day. To update the general public on the school materials, I think last week I elucidated that we had received some more school materials via the Karel Doorman from the Netherlands. This second batch will be ready for collection from the respective school boards today. We needed the time over this past week that has passed since they arrived to really inventorize. It was really a lot of materials, and so we needed a proper inventory because we have to also give accountability for what has been received. So therefore today, November 8th, schools will have already received a given time to be able to collect the items. The list of items also was based on the assessments that were made after the storm and in the regular meetings that were held weekly with the school boards right up until October 24th or 26th. We're asking all school board representatives to provide enough transportation and manpower to be able to ensure the smooth and timely transition of the materials. We will be providing assistance with a forklift to load the pallets directly onto the trucks and take this into consideration when picking up the items. These items include boards, students' chairs and tables, as well as office equipment, cupboards, and other small school materials. Specifically, the most of the materials arrive for primary schools, and several other tables and chairs especially are expected in a next shipment, which should leave on the 14th of November. So we continue to thank the Netherlands for the aid that has been provided to the students of St. Martin. We have a continued great working relationship with the Ministry of OCW in the Netherlands, and we are collaborating. They are also sending persons to the St. Martin to assess any further needs to elucidate further requests that had been made. To update also on the pavilions, which have all been erected, there has been a stagnation of the startup of those classrooms due to the air condition issue that was not compatible with our system. In the meantime, the purchase of these air conditioners have been made, and we are waiting the finalization of the setup via VROMI to get everything hooked up, and hopefully this can be completed this week. In culture news, a reminder from the Culture Department that all monument owners whose monuments were partially or fully damaged should contact the Department of Culture at 520-5340 or at the Culture Department of SXM@gmail.com. That is Culture Department of SXM@gmail.com. These are, of course, emergency contact numbers. So please make an appointment to fill out the historic property damage report, which the Culture Department has prepared for you. Additionally, if any owners wish to perform major repairs to said monuments, a monument permit for this will be required. So that process, that application form is also at the Culture Department, right here in the Government Administration Building on the 3rd floor. St. Martin Day. As we all know, we have been having several celebrations in the weeks prior to this one on the road to St. Martin Day. St. Martin Day this year will be an extravaganza, a cultural affair, a celebration of the people of St. Martin, the people of St. Martin who have made it possible that we are this far within 2 months after having been hit by a Category 5+ hurricane. I would like to invite the general public to those activities. While we have been doing, visits to the radio stations and sending out press releases on this, I would really like to take this time to announce that we have launched the St. Martin Strong song yesterday on St. Martin Gov Radio, so you can tune in and hear it hopefully all day, as well as this morning on Laser 101. It's a song compiled with some notes from myself, but also with a lot of input. 15 different artists are singing on this track, as well as about 7, 8 musicians. So I would like to thank all of these musicians, especially because they did not charge the government of St. Martin to make this song. Our bill was solely to be able to record, mix, and master, which of course you can't get that for free. So we thank them. Icons, legends, as well as the very young up-and-coming stars are on this, St. Martin Stars. It's led off by King Bobo, Leroy Brooks, followed by protege Rumini Rogers, Miss Sassy, and up-and-coming female singer Angelique Carty, Magic Nicholas Henrietta, well-known with bands as well as for the Soca Rumble, Shanella James, no stranger to St. Martin on the gospel as well as rhythm and blues front. Evelyn Walters, also known as Ebony Empress. Kelvin James, aka King James. Young Dow Air New York. Lil Blossom, Denicia Martinbourg is the youngest. Isidore York, the Mighty Dow, also an icon on St. Martin. St. Martin Rumba Man, and the main collaborator and composer and arranger of the song. Thank you, Dow. Chantilia Weeks, the beautiful voice of Chantilia Weeks Higgs, who I heard, I think, for the first time officially during the Hurricane Heroes and was blown away. Vernon, known to many, Fairworth. The V-Man, Jabari York, very young one as well. Oh, I think, yes, he's not the youngest. And of course, Dwayne, Uncle Dwayne, the singer of the XP Band, and the well-known Percy Rankin. On the bass, we had Darnell Mixie York, the trumpet icon on the trumpet, Yves Maku, St. Martin trumpet man. Trombone, Sasa Glenn Hazel. Desmond Kane on the drum machine and sequencing, and as I mentioned before, the Mighty Dow, Isidore York as the arranger and composer, produced by Darnell Mixie York. So a total St. Martin production, and when you hear it, I'm sure you will love it. We hope to be able to sell the track as well, the record, as well as t-shirts, like the one I'm wearing, St. Martin Strong, so that we can be able to raise funds to be able to give back to the artists of St. Martin. These T-shirts will go on sale today, this afternoon. You can drop by government building, and then we'll let you know what other outlets will be having those. On the day itself, St. Martin's Day, St. Martin Day, we start with 8 a.m., the service right here in front of the building. That will go until 10, where then the dignitaries will say a few words of encouragement to rally our St. Martin people. I invite the general public to this service. It's not just for a few. Come out in numbers. After that, the Cultural Street Fair will open at 12, right in front of the government building on Oswaliga Boulevard, and it will be from the Salt Pickers roundabout right down to the Festival Village. Vendors have already signed up, and so you can come out and get your local treats. Allow our entrepreneurs to turn their hand, as they would say, so you don't need to cook that day. Come out, enjoy our drinks, food, etc. And then next to the building at the parking lot, we will set up a St. Martin Village. It will start with, at 12, tributes to our seniors. They will be getting a special treatment as our vulnerable and treasured seniors. Continuing with the youth, the next group on our list from 1 to 2. National games will also be taking place at more than one of our facilities. Those will be made more clearer as the week goes by. The cultural parade, which many are looking forward to, will start right here and go down the boulevard to the area. It's about a 3-hour parade through town. It will start at 2 and end at 5 right here. So it will go down the same way that we do for the Labor Day or the second day parade for Carnival. And many cultural groups have registered. Come out in your colors, support, join in, and have a ball as we celebrate St. Martin Day. Of course, during that time, there will continue to be food and drinks, etc. sold here, and a DJ will keep the crowds entertained. National and cultural games will continue right here for the children. And then once they return to the village, the different groups will be able to display on the stage between 5 and 6. And then we move to a tribute to Neville York, our fallen soldier, you could say, in the area of culture, but under whom we am sure that he's looking down and amazed by what we're still able to do despite all we've been through. But that shows again the resilience of the people. It's a great loss to culture on St. Martin, and so we pay tribute to him for 1 hour and then right into the St. Martin Strong concert featuring ensembles, local musical legends, bands, Control, Strictly Music Band, the Big Bad XP Band of the Year, as well as the 4M HD Band, going straight up to midnight and beyond. So security will be there. We'll make sure that everything is safe, and we expect the St. Martin community, French and Dutch, we're not looking at nationality. This is a cultural celebration. Come out and celebrate our resilience as a strong St. Martin people. Listen out for the many songs. We've also had songs from our youth, and some school teachers of the public schools have put together some wonderful songs. I heard some new ones also on Sunday at the Poetry and Jazz Festival that we held on the waterfront in Marigot. And I look forward to even more of our artists coming up with reasons to declare their love for St. Martin, not just for St. Martin Day, but beyond, so that we can say we have an archive of music, poetry, dances, and even more.